Test 1 2, just doing a mic check. This is just a regular microphone, not using anything special today. We'll see how it goes along, and we'll improvise and add more gear as necessary. All right, just give me a second. Trying to catch up here. All righty. All right, so this is just a quick introduction. My name's Mario. I am starting Leftist Read-Along, and pretty much just tweaking some of the settings here. You give me a moment, and I will get going on the read-alongs, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself as I finish tweaking. So I've been reading leftist articles for a few years now. I would say I'm a progressive, leftist, socialist, communist, Marxist, Leninist, pretty much anything under the left umbrella. Constantly learning, reading articles, trying to advance my knowledge. One thing I know for sure is that the system's broken, and I think we need to unite as a working class to improve it. All right. Today I will be reading some articles from Liberation News. We'll probably get right to it, and we'll see what happens after that. The goal is to read articles, share it with people, have people comment, eventually have some more guests come in, and eventually, eventually have guests read along with us. I think my image is mirrored. Give me a second to fix that so that we can get going. Kind of freaks me out. Not a fan. 1 second. All right, and I'm back, and I'm gonna get straight to the article readings. Liberation News so far this year only has about 3 articles. They're all about 3 to 4 minute reads. So I'll just read through those one at a time. If there's any comments, I'll be happy to share them or talk about them. I will also see if this is going well and if time permits to doing a separate stream to read them in Spanish. I am bilingual, so I'll be more than happy to have conversations with people that are bilingual or Spanish speaking as well that want to get into the read-alongs and join along. I will also eventually set up better schedules ahead of time for these streams. Right now, I'm just trying to see how these streams will come along and where the best time will fit for us to do these streams. So if people have comments, suggestions, I feel like Sunday is a pretty nice time, Sunday afternoons or evenings. Most people are relaxing and have some free time. So we'll get to it. All right, here we go. First article we have here is Yemen vows to continue Gaza solidarity in Red Sea despite U.S. military attack, killing 10. In addition, I might butcher some of these words. I'm not familiar. And like I said, this is a read-along impromptu. I haven't rehearsed. So here we go. This was written by Jane Cutter, January 1st, 2024. It's a 2-minute read. I'll try to read it at a reasonable pace. All right. So on December 31st, 2023, the U.S. military attacked and sank 3 Yemeni boats in the Red Sea, killing at least 10 Yemenis. The boats were carrying out the Yemeni armed forces mission to prevent Israeli-linked ships from passing through the strategic Bab el-Mandeb Strait at the south end of the Red Sea. The mission of Yemen, a poor nation recently ravaged by a brutal US-backed Saudi war, has been hailed by the global movements for Palestine. Helicopters from two U.S. warships, the USS Eisenhower and USS Gravely, shot at the small boats following an SOS call from the Singapore-flagged vessel Maersk Hangzhou, according to CENTCOM. The Yemenis returned fire. Al Jazeera CENTCOM also claims to have shot down anti-ballistic missiles fired by Yemen at the Maersk Hangzhou on December 30th. This is the first U.S. direct attack on Yemen, posing a grave danger of widening the war into a regional one with the direct involvement of the United States. In a statement on the U.S. military attack, the Yemeni armed forces said, while the naval forces of the Yemeni armed forces were carrying out their routine official duties in reinforcing security and stability and protecting maritime navigation, in addition, fulfilling their humanitarian and ethical duty declared by Yemen in prohibiting Israeli ships for those heading to the ports of occupied Palestine from passing through the Red Sea in solidarity and support of the Palestinian people, the American enemy forces attacked 3 boats belonging to the Yemeni naval forces, resulting in the martyrdom and loss of 10 naval personnel. As the Yemeni armed forces exalts these martyrs for the sake of Palestine in the midst of the support battle for Al-Aqsa flood, it affirms that the American enemy bears the consequences and repercussions of this crime, and that its military movement in the Red Sea to protect Israeli ships will not prevent Yemen from fulfilling its religious, ethical, and humanitarian duty in support and aid of the oppressed in Palestine and Gaza. We also urge other nations not to engage in the dangerous American course, which will have negative repercussions that could affect everyone. On December 19, 2023, Washington announced a new international coalition forced to protect commerce passing through the strategic Bab el-Mandeb. However, out of the 20 countries the U.S. says have agreed to support the coalition, only the United Kingdom has directly contributed warships, leaving Washington to effectively act alone against the Houthis. Rasul Sardar of Al Jazeera Rasul ending. Sardar added, there is very little naval presence here. Yemen's solidarity mission has been effective in slashing trade with Israel. As reported by Palestine Resistance Network, the port of Eilat, occupied al-Rash, is completely empty of ships as a result of the Yemeni armed forces operations in the Red Sea. The Egyptian TV channel, this is a tough one, Al-Qahira Al-Akhbariya, showed satellite images of the empty port, which has seen its revenue drop by more than 80%. And here's a picture of the port with the font. It is empty. Screenshot of Egyptian TV footage of Eilat. All right, so that's the first article. I'm going to take a quick breather and grab some tea. Be right back. In the meantime, I will be setting up the next article. Sound test, 1, 2. All right, sound is good. All right, we will be jumping directly into the next article. Here we go. The next article is called New York City Children's March Shows Palestinian Resilience, written by Joyce Shediak, January 2nd, 2024. It's about a 1-minute read. Again, you can find these on the Liberation News website, liberationnews.org. And you can either use the link in the description to donate to Liberation News or to read the articles yourself. All right. Israel boasts that it will stamp out the Palestinian struggle through its genocidal bombing of Gaza, where 40% of its casualties are children. What it is really doing is creating the freedom fighters of tomorrow. This point was made loud and clear by the Next Generation themselves in a Mothers Committee Children's March for Palestine held in New York City on December 30th, 2023. Children led the march of hundreds through Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, where 11% of the population is of Arab descent and where thousands of Palestinians live, many of whom have lost loved ones in Gaza. Children took turns stepping up to the mic in the pre-march rally. A 14-year-old girl gave the political analysis, and children as young as 4 years of age took turns leading those assembled in chants to the delight of the crowd. The action was called by the Mothers Committee, Al-Auda, New York, Mamas for a Free Palestine, and the Palestinian Assembly for Liberation, and was endorsed and assisted by the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Emily Rose from the organization addressed the crowd, pointing out that the billions of U.S. tax dollars used to arm Israel to kill Palestinian children has resulted in cuts to the healthcare, education, and housing for children here. I'll just show you the picture here. It's a cool picture. Do I look like a threat to you? Stop killing kids. I agree. We did not forget, and we will never forget. We will return. I hope so. I hope they do return. Here's a cool picture. Kids speaking. Some of the signs and all U.S. aid to Israel. I also agree. Auda, New York. Liberation News photos by Elliot Choi. Again, you can find these on liberationnews.org. Cool. I'll be taking another second, another breather before I go on to the next article. And I will be right back. All right, and I'm back, and let's get this one going again. All right, let's see. Militant journalism. Greedy nightclub owners close historic LGBTQ nightclub amidst workers' strikes. By Alexander Stopar, January 4th, 2024. It's about a 3-minute read. All right. On November 20th, 2023, the owners of the Berlin nightclub in the Boys Town neighborhood of Chicago decided to shut down the club after the workers formed a union with Unite Here Local 1 and repeatedly went on strike for better wages over the course of a few months. The workers struck because the owners, who had been cutting costs with low wages and no benefits, refused to negotiate a fair contract that would provide workers with improved pay and basic health care. The owners also spread misinformation that sowed divisions and catered to petty bourgeois elements in the queer Chicago community. Former security staff member and union organizer Shel Krodinger spoke with Liberation News. Berlin could have been trying things out. If there was no dragging of the feet, there was no one holding the reins, and the bosses ultimately decided it was easier to cut the horses loose than to correct course, they said. Berlin's owners claimed that the unionization drive was the cause of the shutdown. The owners released a letter on their website, which has since been removed, filled with misinformation. The letter claimed that the workers were asking for raises in a pay and pension health care for workers that would have cost the bar at least $500,000 per year. Krodinger responded to this claim by saying that the union received no financial information from the owners and that the union had to estimate demands while negotiating. Even a dollar more than minimum wage would have gone a very long way, Krodinger said, but added that the owners never came to the table to negotiate. While the bar's closing comes as a shock to both workers and patrons of the bar, the bosses only have to deal with the slight deficit. They have their homes, their health insurance, their capital. Most of us workers don't have any of that now, said Krodinger. The owners are also not part of the Boys Town community and live in Michigan. Krodinger also noted that Berlin workers were treated even worse than other Boys Town bar workers, like those at Charlie's Chicago, where even the drag queens clock in and have W-2s and are well taken care of, a model that, given the slightest amount of effort, could have been replicated at Berlin. The capitalists at Berlin refused to offer basic health insurance or even slight increases above minimum wage. Krodinger spoke to a divided queer community, a community that should treat service workers well instead of seeing Berlin workers as an obstacle to getting drunk and endangering and treating these underpaid workers with disrespect. Other union drives at queer-oriented employers such as Howard Brown Health Workers United have continued in Boys Town and across Chicago. All right, here's a picture, United here, Boycott Berlin. I'll read what the picture says. The Boys Town community rallies together in support of queer liberation and an end to exploitation. Liberation photo. Krodinger said that the unionization effort has helped us to learn who in our community is for our community, and hopes that other bars will take a hint from the closure of a predatory business and work towards implementing more equitable practices for their workers. Even with the threat of community division, Krodinger says that Berlin workers have support in the community. They've been doing very good at doing the work to combat misinformation, so we have time to heal. Following the closure, Berlin workers have been sharing job leads. Berlin workers have been sharing job leads each other, and they have been well taken care of by the Unite Here Local 1. Krodinger noted of themselves that they are not in a functioning union now, but very much a union guy and will always be that. Krodinger hopes to support library workers, Howard Brown health workers, and other workers in Chicago. We should not lose the progress we have made in our local fights. It's about capitalizing on that ability when you have it. Do whatever you can. Get others to show up. Share what you can, Krodinger said. All right. Featured photo, the queer working class community comes together to organize for better wages for exploited Berlin workers. Liberation News. Hashtags are Chicago, labor, LGBTQ. Cool. I'm going to pause for a second to set up for the next one again. All right, just doing a mic check, and mic looks good. All right, the final article for tonight from Liberation News is 3 years after January 6th insurrection, is Biden the lesser of two evils? By Katie Miernicki, January 6th, 2024. It's about a 6-minute read, so this is a reasonably long one. I'm a slow reader. Try to take my time and take it all in. After I'm done reading this one, we will maybe take a look back and do quick comments, quick summary, and move forward. All right, the photo, a crowd of Trump supporters at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Credit Wikimedia Commons. Cool, everything looks good. And there's the picture. A sight to see. All right, let's get started on the reading. Here we go. This Saturday, January 6, marks the third anniversary of the far-right Capitol insurrection of 2021. Details of this historic event are still emerging to this day, but the affairs was a clear attempt by the country's increasingly militant far-right to express its solidarity with Donald Trump and the movement against democratic rights in the United States. Republicans and the right wing at large have been moving over the course of several decades to attack the winds of social movements like abortion, voting eligibility, affirmative action, and LGBTQ rights. The MAGA crowd that attempted the insurrection is but one faction of a larger, though minoritarian, conservative offensive movement within the U.S. This year, Democrats will continue to use the legacy of January 6 as fodder for their campaign to re-elect Joe Biden this coming November. The anniversary of January 6 continues to be used as a threat against voters. Either vote blue this year, or the far right will unleash more terror on the country. January 6 is hyped by the Democratic Party as a uniquely evil and destructive event that foreshadows peril for the lives of all Americans unless they cast their votes for Biden. This misleading and opportunistic strategy is a way for the Democratic Party to capture votes without presenting any appealing policies or candidates. Assuming that Trump will prevail as the Republican nominee, the Democratic Party has coalesced all of its energy into Biden, the least popular president in recent U.S. history, in hopes of rerunning the 2020 election and recreating his narrow victory. But this time, Biden is running with a disappointing track record that begs the question, is he really a better choice than Trump? And even if he is, will a Democrat victory be enough to stop fascism? Biden's first term. There are plenty of Trump-era policies that Biden has quietly continued, if not extended. Most recently is the unconditional funding and arming of the Israeli military and other U.S. allies, with both presidents going so far as to bypass Congress to send weapons abroad. Among other unpopular policies, Biden has, here's the juicy stuff, canceled the COVID-19 emergency, allowing evictions and student debt repayments to resume for millions of Americans, refused to pass a $15 minimum wage while inflation soared, continued the construction of the wall along the U.S.-Mexican border, and allowed the internment of immigrant adults and children in abhorrent conditions, greenlit oil and gas drilling programs during a climate emergency through his climate bill, which the government affairs director of the Center of Biological Diversity referred to as the Climate Suicide Pact, failed to codify Roe v. Wade into law while having control of Congress, discouraged, if not outright blocked, peace negotiations that would end the war in Ukraine, increased the budgets of military and police, resulting in police officers killing more civilians in 2023 than any year in the past decade. The Biden campaign's main selling point so far in the election cycle has been the so-called success of Bidenomics. Yet in the first few days of 2024, the U.S. Census Bureau reported that 41% of Americans are now struggling to afford their household expenses. Homelessness has hit a record high across many states. Claims that 2023 boasted one of the strongest U.S. economies in recent history add insult to injury for working people whose lived experiences completely contradict this narrative. While Democrat staffers, Wall Street moguls, and the ruling establishment at large celebrate the U.S. economy's soft landing that narrowly avoided a recession, 4 out of the 5 American adults currently rate the country's economic condition as fair or poor, according to a Gallup poll. On top of that, 68% of Americans perceive the economy is worsening. Regardless of the analysis that pundits are pushing, the majority of Americans are aware that we are undoubtedly in a period of economic crisis that the ruling parties seem to ignore. This is the point at which a functional party that claims to serve working people would advocate for some sort of positive policy measures to provide economic relief, even if just to gain favor before an election. Not only is the Democratic Party rejecting the most minor of concessions in favor of fear-mongering about its opponents, but it's completely resisting shifts in policy that are necessary to maintain societal stability. The Party of Democracy. The Biden administration is currently polling at approximately 39% approval, the lowest rating of any recent president at the same time in their term. But things are looking up for the election, Democratic pundits argue, as this is a decent step from the record low approving rating of 27% last November. In response to Biden's abysmal job approval rating, Democratic elites have doubled down on their choice of candidate. Party figures have shamelessly declared that the party will not even hold debates among the candidates in 2024, allowing zero space for dissent or accountability to Biden's policies. In 4 states, Florida, Massachusetts, North Carolina, and Tennessee, the Democratic Party has even moved to secure Biden as the only candidate on the party's primary ballots in 2024, deterring all potential challengers. This approach is even more hardline than the 2020 Democratic Party strategy of sabotaging popular candidates like Bernie Sanders, who touted mild reforms to capitalism, which resulted in only a razor-thin margin of victory for Biden. The lesser of two evils. We absolutely cannot discount the abhorrent role of racism, sexism, homophobia, and all other forms of bigotry in igniting the far right. The Democratic Party is correct in its analysis that Trump has played a major role in stoking, fanning, and normalizing dangerous bigoted violence. But at its core, this shameful far-right movement is not totally divorced from economic hardship. So long as the underlying economic order remains, Republicans and demagogues like Trump will continue to misdirect public anger and scapegoat marginalized communities for the suffering of the entire working class. For example, the classic conservative talking point that an immigrant stole your job is one of many ways that ruling elites distract from the country's failure to guarantee job programs or any significant support to anyone experiencing joblessness. Similarly, the idea that the opioid crisis is the fault of drug users or foreign interference or anything other than the government turning a blind eye to the white-collar crimes of the pharmaceutical industry is ludicrous, yet still a popular trope for elected officials to parrot. There is no question that Trump is a racist and bigoted presidential candidate, but the notion that conditions would improve under Biden, or any Democratic president for that matter, is farcical. Across the board, there is no single serious positive policy measure put forth by the Biden campaign that excites voters or answers society's most pressing issues. Under Biden, Republicans are still in control and successfully launching attacks on all the gains of social movements, from voting rights to abortion rights to affirmative action. Social programs are still being slashed left and right with support from Democrats in Congress. The right of the working class are being forcibly ripped away, regardless of the figure in the Oval Office. Biden did not lie in his 2020 campaign when he said that nothing would fundamentally change. If he were to be elected, he is not, in fact, the lesser of two evils, but rather a friendly face to the U.S. political and economic system that continually neglects the needs of its people, regardless of who sits at the top. Democrats promises that by voting blue, we can get things back to normal. An example, how things were before that, the era of Trump and COVID-19, are hollow and impossible. The world has changed dramatically in a way that requires strong, positive, people-focused leadership and an economic overhaul in order to keep things running. Working people know that when Democrats say they will bring decency, they mean they will use softer language when they bring the same economic and social hardships as a Republican president. To truly stop the assault on democratic rights across the country, a popular movement is necessary. Both parties have proven time and time again that no matter how well-meaning their policies or individual members are, their hands are tied by the rules of capitalism. A complete lack of useful or exciting policy initiatives among the Democratic Party will not be sufficient to win the societal support needed to truly change the attacks coming from the right wing. In fact, the far right is rising as part of an expression of deeper societal issues that presidents from both parties have failed to materially address. To truly make a better world, political changes in the country need to start from the ground up. All right, so those are the articles for today. Let me take a break to drink some tea, and I'll give a quick, maybe one sentence summary of each of them, just quick comments, and then move on for the day. And I will return. Audio check, 1, 2. All right, audio sounds good. Right, so now we are just going to go through the articles really quickly that were read today. Again, I would like to remind everybody that these articles were sourced from Liberation News. You can see the articles and support PSL via liberationnews.org. The first article, Yemen vows to continue Gaza solidarity in Red Sea despite U.S. military attack killing 10. I'm not an expert in the whole geographical issues over there. I do agree with solidarity with Palestine. And if Yemen has decided to defend Palestine, then I am for it. Obviously, I am not for war or brutality. Killing of children or women are definitely against my morals and beliefs. But so is also the oppression of a people, of a culture, of a nation, like the Palestinians, that has been going on and been perpetuated by Zionists in Israel for the last few decades. So free Palestine. that's my thought on that. New York New York City Children's March shows Palestinian resilience was the second article read today. Uh, yeah, I think anything we can do on the American side to protest and show support for Palestinians is good. Yes, I am also for disruption. If it means we have to stop traffic or uh, I don't know, slow down traffic or go and boycott Congress or, whatever it is that is out there that people are doing or organizing. I obviously am nowhere near that stuff, so I can't do any of it, but I would definitely support marches and rallies. I think the life of thousands of children and women that are being massacred out there are definitely worth slowing down traffic. Uh, Yes. So if you tell me that you have an issue with people slowing down traffic uh, for the lives of people, other people, I totally disagree. That is an issue. Next article: greedy nightclub owners close historic LGBTQ nightclub amidst workers' strike. So my thought on this is that the minimum wage, even if it's $15, it has not kept up with inflation for the last, I don't know, over 20 years at least. I think if minimum wage, when I last checked a few years ago, had kept up with inflation, it would have been like $20. It's probably closer to $25 now. I commend Los Angeles for raising their minimum wage to 20, which is besides this article. But I think that it's important to also acknowledge that everything in Los Angeles is really expensive. I used to live there. Everything in California is really expensive. So raising the minimum wage does not really solve the systemic issues that allow policies to be created or not created to limit how expensive things can be. So yes, I am for unionization of all workers, and I also support the LGBTQ community that have been striking for living wages. 3 years after January 6th insurrection, is Biden the lesser of two evils? There's also a lot of debate whether this is actually an insurrection or it was just a lot of clowns protesting. I mean, they broke into the building. They're saying that they were let into the building. I don't think that was legal in any form. I don't think that people should be going to jail for 20 years for that. I don't think people should be going to jail in general, being an abolitionist. I think the jail system is more of a vengeful system and not a rehabilitation system and not a restorative justice system. So yeah, not big on putting people in cages. I'm more for rehabilitation. But in regards to Biden being the lesser of two evils, no. The capitalist system, the two-party duopoly system, they are they're puppets. Their oligarchs are the puppet masters, and they control everything they do. It's all about cream, right? Cash rules everything around me. That's what's going on in there. That's why they go into politics so they can make $200,000 a year to be elitists. And if this wasn't the case, elections would be more open. There wouldn't be so much secretive, classified files. We'd have a more open political system, and we would get money out of politics as well. If you want to represent your town, how about you make what the median income is, right? If your town only makes 60 grand a year median income or average income, maybe that's what you should make as a representative, right? Maybe that way how the people in your community are suffering, and you may know best how to represent them. All right. In regards to Trump, yeah, he has problems. He's definitely a very, I would say, ignorant and greedy person. But like he says, he's all about making deals, right? And once he's in office, guess what? He's making deals for himself, not for you, not for me, not for the working class. Um, so you do with that what you may, what you wish. Um, put 1 + 1 together, connect the dots, look at his history, look at Biden's history. These people are not representing you and me. They're not representing the working class. The wealth gap has just gotten larger. People are not being represented, with people being billionaires. There's no reason we should have a single homeless person in the United States. There's no reason why children should be paying for lunches. There's no reason why the education system, why every single high school, middle school, or elementary school, or daycare school out there shouldn't be free and shouldn't be top notch. All right. These are just simple ideas that I think all Americans deserve. Amongst them are also minimal standard of living, job security, living wages, that adjust for inflation if we are still continued in this capitalist system. But I don't want to go on for hours about this. Just wanted to give my ideas regarding this article. 3 years after January 6th insurrection, is Biden the lesser of two evils? Plain and simply, no. No, he is not. All right. Thank you all for tuning in or rewatching this stream. I will be releasing more details as to more articles that I'll be reading. Like I said, I might do this also in Spanish to try to reach Spanish comrades out there. Hope everyone has a lovely night. I will continue now towards to movie watch for the evening. You can find me on YouTube, and you can find me on Mastodon, Mario I. Vargas. I do not have Twitter or in any of the other social medias, as I do not do ads. I do not like ads. You will not see me monetize my work either. This is all ad-free, so you'll never have to worry about commercials. If you do ever feel like donating, I would say first donate to Liberation News as one of the article sources, and then donate to me if you'd like. But there's no need. But donations are welcome and appreciated. Anyways, you all have a lovely Sunday evening. If you are stuck in the New England area and shoveling snow, I know what it feels like. It was very painful, but we're here. So enjoy the weekend. Have a good night and keep up the fight. Good night.